Man, I just don't know how to sit on this thing, honestly. Like, I'm trying to figure it out.
How are you just feeling riding the bike? Like, how does the bike feel to you?
It feels like shit. I mean, also, this f***ing bike just melted my boots, like, really bad. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of Yammie Noob. We are doing my first honest-to-God ride on a Harley Davidson. It's a real bike. It's not a street rod. It's not a Rocket 3. It's not some other BS cruiser. It's not some metric Yamaha cruiser. This is the real deal. This is an Iron 883 Harley Davidson Sportster. Probably mixed up those words somewhere, but you know what this bike is. Everyone knows what this bike is. And in case you don't know, if you missed our big announcement, this is one of our new giveaway motorcycles. It's part of our Modern Classic series. So hit the link down below, go to yammie.co, check out how you can get entered to win this Harley Davidson.
Before we jump into my first ride on the Harley, I wanted to tell you about today's sponsor, Rockform. These guys are new on the Yammie Noob channel, however you should definitely know about them. They make the most intuitive phone mount for your ride, and the phone case is insanely rugged too. It's super easy to install, and it's literally just 2 bolts, and the handlebar mount fits anything between 7/8 to 1 1/4 inch, which is basically all mounts. The mount is made from CNC aircraft grade aluminum as well. The best part is you don't have to limit yourself to just a motorcycle mount. Rockform systems can be used in a variety of applications, from cars, bicycles, and pretty much everything else you need to mount a phone on. Right now you can hit the link down below and use the code YN25 to get yourself 25% off your entire order and get free shipping as well. So check them out below. Thanks again to Rockform for supporting what we do. Sponsors like them, along with all of our members on yammie.co, makes this whole silly thing possible. Remember, code YN25 gets it 25% off, and be sure to check it out on the Svartpillen 401 in this video.
Spite, we got some pretty cool things going on with this thing, right? We're going to do some
we're gonna
badass
do a
mods
lot
to
of
it.
really cool stuff to this, and it's all the stuff that all of the Iron 883 boys say they want to do. We're actually going to do it this time.
Mm-hmm. So what does some of that include?
Every Iron 883 boy says that they are going to do the jug swap. We're actually going to do the 1250. I'm not sure if we're going to put cams in it just yet. I need to do a little bit more research. We're going to fix that rear suspension because, as you're going to find out, it's not that great. We're going to do some bars. We're going to do some pegs. We're going to do a whole lot of really cool stuff to this bike, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, so we're going to have this bike for about 4 months. It's going to be a lot of fun, and honestly, like, you know what? I talk a lot of shit about Harleys. I think a lot of sport bike and Euro guys and, or Euro motorcycle guys talk a lot of crap about Harleys. They're like, oh, bad performance, this and that. But I am genuinely curious to own and ride this thing and just keep an open mind, see what it's about, and just kind of see how it goes, And
I'm just, honestly, I'm just glad we're mic'd up for this because it's going to be really funny. You have not ridden this motorcycle yet. We have not staged this. I wrote it in.
I have not ridden it. Yeah, I wrote the lovable little Svartpillen 401 over there, which is another one of our giveaway bikes. So this is literally my very first time riding the Sportster. So yeah, again, guys, if you want to win this motorcycle, yammie.co, go to yammie.merch.com. You can also buy merch and get entered to win. Don't miss it. It's going to be pretty awesome. So yeah, first things I notice on this thing is the key is in the wrong place. It's in this side over here. So we got that going on with it. As I mentioned to you off camera, the controls over here look like they've came out of a 1996 Buick Regal. These look like the switches from my dad's 1998 Explorer because all the R&D has been paid for on this Sportster about 50 years ago, so they're good to go. So now we will put it to run, and then we'll start it up. It shakes to life. Oh, it's in gear.
Whoops.
Why would you leave it in gear, Spite?
Because it's on a hill.
Oh, it's just like a Ducati. When it's running, you can't find neutral, but when it's off, you can. How funny. So, very bare bones motorcycle. The Sportster features this 883cc, or what's the cubic inches on it?
62 cubic inches,
62
I think?
cubic inches, something like that. And it's a very raw, analog kind of bike. I think that's why a lot of people like it.
I love watching the whole thing just shake and vibrate. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's got these screaming eagle pipes on it because freedom, America, all the good things. Let's go for a ride, Spite.
Oh boy, it's really weird getting on the Spart after being on the Harley.
It's really weird being on this bike after being on the Spart. Oh, this thing just doesn't slow down. Okay.
Nope.
Got it.
You need
Got
to
it, got
use
it, got
both
it, got it, got
brakes.
it. Yep, I can safely say this is one of the most unique riding experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
The turn-in is unbelievably slow. Wow. Wow, it doesn't turn at all.
You sure you still want to do Lime Creek?
Yeah, it, man, let's go. Look at that view. That's Austin, baby.
There you go. That looks
Look at
pretty. You
that.
can see the river, the buildings.
That's great.
How's it feeling going over these bumps here?
Oh, it's miserable. There's no suspension travel at all. I literally feel the rear shocks bottoming out every time I hit something. Also, like, it's so dense and heavy that, like, I'm literally having to ride the brakes down this hill because it's just picking up speed.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like, no engine braking. There's literally no engine braking. Oh, my God, dude. This is very different than what I thought it was going to be like. It doesn't turn. It like literally just that light sweeper. I was like, okay, and it's like no, and I'm like please, and it's like no, and I'm like please, and it's like okay, I guess I'll turn.
Because you asked so nicely.
Yeah. Geez, the whole thing really does just shake and shake and shake.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it feels like I'm sitting on a dryer that has like something really heavy in it that's just churning away.
I'm just seeing the whole bike just shake and wiggle. I will say though, I love that you're wearing the ADV spec helmet, the flannel, and then the sport pants and boots. You've got quite an ensemble going on here.
Truly, yeah. Well, it's because I'm decked out for my scrambler. I look good on my desert sled, but I look a little out of place on this thing. So the big thing that I'm noticing that's so different from this bike than other bikes is like you don't grip anything with your knees.
Nope.
Like I feel so disconnected to this motorcycle because I am so used to riding sport bikes, and I'm so used to riding, you know, off-road and scrambly kind of bikes where like you grab the tank with your knees and you ride a little bit more athletically. This is the antithesis of riding athletically. Like you don't do anything with it.
It basically wants you to sit with your knees wide and in the breeze, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sitting on an armchair. But now that you're out on the open freeway, how's it feeling?
I cannot believe how much vibration is coming through my feet. It is jaw-dropping. How like riding this for, oh my god, yeah, no, that's horrible. Riding this for like 3 hours with all vibrations through the pegs would suck.
Now, I think that's a combination of the mids and the 883 power plant. On the highway, the 883 does produce more vibration than a 1200.
Yeah.
It's pretty safe to say that the 883 is not a highway Harley.
Yeah,
But
definitely not. Yeah.
when we get the 1250 kit on there and we get, you know, forward pegs on there, it'll turn itself around quite a bit.
Yeah, man, I just don't know how to sit on this thing. Honestly, like I'm trying to figure it out.
Just sit on it. There's no art to riding a Harley. But here's the question: do you feel like a real boy now?
Oh, I feel like the realest boy. Oh, it's so real to me, dude.
You're riding a bike with a Screaming Eagle full system exhaust. It's
There's so much vibration through every fucking pit of this motorcycle, dude. Like through the handlebars, through the foot pegs, through the you cannot escape from it.
Nope. The only way to escape from it is to not be on the highway.
Yeah.
It's like it likes to sit around 3,000-ish RPM.
Yeah.
That
If
feels
you
like it's
get it.
happy place.
Yeah, I was noticing here, if I'm sitting at, 2,800 RPM, the whole thing shakes and it doesn't like me very much. In fourth gear, you're going 3,400-ish. It seems to mellow out a little bit more. But then you don't want to go too high because it feels like you're going to blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, it's weird because, like, I think a lot of people assume cruisers, yeah, it's idling at 1,000 RPM. My God. I think a lot of people assume cruisers are more comfortable and this and that, but I'm honestly not that comfortable on this bike.
It's I will say the 883 is probably slightly more compromised from the factory than something like, your 48s or your Iron 1200s.
Yeah, I get those bumps. Oh my god.
However, the nice thing about the 883 and the reason why we chose that over something like a 1200 is because it's so moddable. Everything that fits on any Sportster fits on the 883, and it really is kind of like a blank canvas for modification. And all of the problems that you're having with that motorcycle, to an extent, can be solved.
Yeah.
And that's, I like the little adage that the rarest motorcycle on the planet is a stock 883.
Yeah, I gotta say, it probably is pretty rare. I mean, when we were trying to buy this thing, I mean, you were looking up listings and you couldn't find anything that was bone stock.
And even that one's not. It's got the exhaust system on there, so it's really, really, really hard to find a stock 883. Man, I can hear the valve train behind me. It wasn't even coming through the Cardo. It was just, I could hear you downshifting, and I could hear the engine clattering.
It's so crazy to you rev it up and it revs back so slowly, and it's just to remind you that you can feel the difference in the revs so distinctly. You feel much more as it comes through from 14 to 12, you feel it way more in your butt, and then yeah, man, it's such a unique experience, I gotta say.
How are you liking the
I love that the pegs don't have a return spring. That's very smart.
You accidentally knock them out of place, and you gotta figure out mid-ride how to put them back.
Also, this f***ing bike just melted my boots, really bad.
You probably had it resting on the exhaust, didn't you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, you're not. That is a no-no. How bad?
Oh, really bad, yeah. Can you see it?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. I wonder what were you touching that?
I think I had my foot resting like this, like this.
Oh yeah, no, you don't ride it on the balls of your feet, dude.
Dude, that's how you ride every bike.
No, that's not how you ride Harleys.
Well, now you guys have to sign up so that I can buy new boots.
Oh man, yeah, I'm kind of glad you noticed that, because if you'd have left it there, your boot would have caught fire.
Yeah.
That is actually something that has happened to me on a ride. I have been with somebody who didn't understand that you couldn't put your feet there, and their foot caught fire.
Yeah, the rider triangle really isn't to my liking. Yeah.
I wonder if that would change if we put forwards on there.
I think so, honestly, because I feel like for cruisers, I actually prefer forwards. I've ridden 2 cruisers now with forwards and 1 with mids, and now this one with mids as well. And I prefer forwards, honestly. If I'm gonna ride a cruiser, I'm gonna go all in,
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie, let's take a look at this. So, that exhaust now is full of rubber. That's cool. And then this is just... Well, Harleys suck.
I honest to God did not think that you were going to ride it on the balls of your feet.
Dude, I ride every motorcycle on the balls of my feet. That's how you ride.
That's not how you ride a Harley.
That's why I don't like these bikes. Every other motorcycle, you ride on the balls of your feet.
Yeah, no, you cannot ride this bike on the balls of your feet. It's not how it's designed.
I know, it's really bizarre.
It's why on the 48, because they have forwards and passenger pegs kind of like here-ish, you can actually pop your feet back and get into a normal riding position, which would probably be a little bit more to your liking. The only problem there is it's got the same suspension, but the pegs are like here, and so your legs are like this. It's like a comedy exaggeration, a caricature of what sport bike riding is.
I think to me it's just fascinating how the Harley experience and don't take this the wrong way, but the Harley experience is a lot of excuse making.
Yes.
It is unbelievable to me how it's like, oh yeah, you know, the rear travel's garbage, the engine doesn't make power, you know, all this stuff. Like, oh, don't put your feet here, your legs will burn. You have to, like, it's so many excuses for this motorcycle.
Yeah.
God,
no,
man.
I completely accept that criticism because
Yeah.
it's true. There are a lot of excuses that you have to make for why the motorcycle is doing what it's doing. And the obvious excuse is, and this is the thing that all of the cruiser boys leveled at me when I made that video saying why cruisers suck, is, well, it's because you're not riding it like a cruiser. You're comparing it to other bikes, you know?
Yeah, it cannot be compared. It exists in a vacuum, right?
But that's the thing, is you have to compare all motorcycles equally, otherwise the grades don't make sense, right? So in that sense, yes, cruiser motorcycles do kind of suck, and that's why from the factory you've got to fix them.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we will do will fix a lot of your issues. It will not fix all of them, though.
Yeah.
But it is it's kind of genuinely interesting because, you know, my experience riding with you is every motorcycle you get on, you know, you're completely confident on. It's really interesting to hear you not be confident about a motorcycle that I am completely confident in.
Oh yeah, totally. And I'm very comfortable in saying that I'm not super confident on this bike. Mostly because there's so many differences to it versus like a normal motorcycle that I feel like I've got a good understanding of nearly all bikes except this category, and it's a reason why I wanted to get one in the first place. But yeah, it's not super comfortable riding this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a job to do. Let's go to Lime Creek. But it is wild to think that, you know, guys back in the day, they took bikes kind of like this and just whipped them off road, you know?
They were basically the exact same. All the Harley guys are going to correct me here, but I believe that frame has been unchanged since like 1980.
Yeah, I can see that.
That frame is ancient, and the Sportsters have used the same frame forever. And
Yeah.
it's to the point where on a Harley Davidson, you can build a Sportster. I don't even think you need to have a Harley Davidson frame. I think you can buy an entire Sportster and put it together without buying a single solitary part from Harley Davidson.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Like,
I can see that.
You literally can just build your own Sportster at home, and you know it will just be a Sportster, not a Harley Davidson. It's mostly S&S parts and, you know, Hammer Performance parts and all that crap, but it's still a Sportster. You know, it rides like a Sportster because it's just such a known quantity.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it. You know, it's like you can clone it and it's still exactly like a Sportster. Like you buy a clone car of some old 70s muscle car.
Yeah, I think of those like Cobra kits, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not the same thing. You know, there's still a lot of differences between your kit car and the actual real deal. Whereas if you were to build a kit Harley Davidson Sportster, it's the same thing.
I gotta say, I can't even imagine if all you've ever known is Harleys, and then let's say you jump on like a real sport bike. Like, imagine if all you've ever ridden is like a Sportster, and you jump on an R1.
Oh my God, that would be like a fucking geometric shift in your understanding of motorcycles in an instant. You know, and it's why a lot of like the big, you know, die-hard cruiser dudes will say that, you know, their cruiser can be faster than a sport bike.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe in a straight line, maybe for like a few seconds.
Yeah, up to a certain speed.
But at the end of the day, the sport bike is just always faster.
It's just, it was designed to do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I know the VMAX boys are out there. I know I'm going to trigger you when I say this, but an R1, an R6 is faster than your VMAX.
Yeah, especially on a racetrack.
It's completely just a known quantity. Cruisers are slower than sport bikes, and that's why, you know, it's so just different. But now we're getting to the fun part, and where you're really gonna have to focus because.
Dude, I'm gonna take the most scenic fucking path through Lime Creek I think I've ever taken.
Yeah, you're gonna be on like parade speed here. So beyond all of the like, you know, obvious flaws, how are you just feeling riding the bike? Like, how does the bike feel to you?
It feels like shit. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And I'm trying. I want to be open-minded. I want to be nice to it, but it genuinely does not ride like a good motorcycle to me. To your point, could you fix it? Sure. Could you maybe do some things to make it better? Sure. But I'm having a hard time finding something that I actually enjoy about this experience. Besides the fact that it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's a Sportster. It's really analog, really old school. Like, that's kind of cool. But it's just truly just, you know, if you have experience with performance motorcycles, with riding in a competition environment, with riding off-road and having, like, I don't understand why you'd want this bike. Maybe I need to spend more time with it, but I really don't get it.
Yeah, and that's honestly fair. I mean, it's completely foreign to your normal riding habitat, you know?
Yeah.
Even
like, I thought I'd have a soft spot for it because of the Desert Sled. I'm like, oh, you know, kind of old school air-cooled engine, but the Desert Sled feels like a spaceship compared to this thing.
Yeah, it definitely does. That thing does. It barely has a gear position indicator.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it barely has a 5th gear. But I have a soft spot for that kind of motorcycle just because of, you know, how iconic it is. It is an American icon.
Yes.
But
that's something that I've noticed as we've ridden it down the road, and other people are like looking at it and ogling it. Like, it really, I mean, it really shows that it's an attention-grabbing bike, and I think for a lot of Americans, particularly, they really vibe with it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very unique motorcycle. Unique does not necessarily mean good, though.
Yeah, exactly. It is certainly unique, though. I will 100% give it that. This is not like any other bike I've really ever spent time with.
Have you scraped the peg yet?
Honestly, not yet.
That's actually kind of impressive, although you're probably dialed, like, you're probably running a 1/10 back there.
I absolutely am, yeah.
Honestly, this is a road where a lot of Harley Davidson guys go down. They
Oh, I've seen them, yeah.
Eat it on these corners.
Yeah. Which is funny because, you know, does it turn in ridiculously slow? Yes, but it's still a motorcycle. The fundamentals are all here, you know? So you push on the opposite bar, you flick it in. It behaves extremely strangely compared to any other bike, but it still does what a motorcycle is meant to do. Still on 2 wheels. I gotta say, I thought I'd like it more than this, honestly. I was trying to approach it and be like, oh, it's gonna be fun, you know, it's gonna be interesting. I don't like this motorcycle. and you called it before we left. You're like, you're gonna hate that thing, and I was like, no, come on, like, I'll be nice to it. We'll figure it out. It'll be whatever. You're like, no, dude, you're gonna hate it, and you're right. I hate it.
And to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. I am a little disappointed you don't have you know, at least some positivity about it. But I can't say it wasn't expected because it is so different from what you're used to. And you are right. A lot of the like stock Sportster experience is excuse making.
Absolutely.
You have to forgive a lot of flaws that we've just figured out. You know, you don't melt your boot on modern motorcycles.
That's a first for me, buddy. That is a first for me.
I will say it's not a first for me, though. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was starting out.
Okay, a positive note for this bike. I think that when I'm on it and I'm riding it, if I wanted to have this feeling, it certainly gives it a lot to me. Like, you know, I feel, you know, like I'm on a cruiser, it's American, you know, if that's the vibe you're going for, there's no substitute.
Mm-hmm.
There's no substitute for what this bike gives you. The sound of it is quintessential American V-twin, the look of it, the vibe of it. I mean, that is, if you're searching for that experience, you shouldn't get anything other than a Harley.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this, as a guy who does vibe with Sportsters and you do like them and you've spent a lot of time even considering getting one, do you think that a lot of it is kind of like lifestyle and like the perception of who you are when you're on the bike and owning the object itself, as opposed to the experience of actually riding the thing?
That is a good question. That is actually a really good question. For me, it's about riding it because it's so unique, so agricultural, so old, that it really does feel like you're driving a 70s muscle car. And I really like that. I like it a lot. It's why I considered buying one.
Yeah.
And I do think there is a lot of, identity politics kind of wrapped up in it. People are like, oh, I am a Harley guy because I ride the Harley.
Yep.
It becomes almost like the object is a substitute for, almost personality.
Yeah, totally.
However, I do still feel there is a place in the market for the Harley Davidson Sportster. Despite how flawed it is, it's not a great bike, but it can be, and that's why I like it so much. Every Sportster is unique. It's as unique as its owner's fingerprint. And when you buy a used Sportster, you're not buying a motorcycle so much as you're buying a part of somebody's life. Which is kind of a poetic way to say that everyone has their own problems with the bike and fixes it in their own way.
Right.
And
yeah, the thing I think about a lot is, for example, like, I love Triumph. They're one of my favorite manufacturers. I think, the Daytona is one of my favorite bikes ever made. The triple cylinder, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I rode the Scrambler, the Triumph Scrambler, I just didn't like it,
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't for me. But my, brand perception of Triumph didn't supersede my desire to get a better motorcycle, which was the Desert Sled, which I liked more.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any quibbles about switching from Ducati, or switching from Triumph to Ducati, or being like, oh, I'm a Ducati guy now versus a Triumph guy. I just don't really have those kind of feelings. I mean, I own, I guess, technically 4 different makes of motorcycles if you count the Busa, which you must count the Busa. And I don't know, I feel like Harley guys, like I was saying, they make a lot of excuses, and they won't check out other types of bikes, even in the cruiser segment, even
Mm-hmm.
though they might like it more, right? I feel like a dude who rides a V-Rod, if you rode a Diavel, would be like, holy f***,
Mm-hmm.
But they normally won't do it, and so that's why I was curious about your perception about, is it lifestyle or is it truly about the ride and the experience of it? And so it's good to hear that for you it is about the ride. You do like the experience, and it's not just the fact that the name matches, the name on the badge, the badge on the tank matches what you want to see.
Yeah. No, for me, it's not a brand loyalty thing. I have no brand loyalty, as you can kind of tell.
Definitely not, yeah.
I've owned 2 Harley Davidsons. I've owned 2 Hondas. I own a Suzuki. I now own a KTM.
Yeah.
I've been all over the place, and I can honestly say that no one motorcycle has solved all my problems. I've had problems with every single motorcycle I've owned, and that's why I don't really like to excuse flaws, which is why I have more than one bike. Which I guess now I am making excuses because I have 2 single-cylinder motorcycles. So
Yeah.
maybe I have a little bit of a complex, but you need to want that riding experience. It's okay to really like one brand. It is okay for
Totally,
those
yeah.
people in the comment
Yeah, yeah.
section who are yelling at us. It's okay to just like Harley Davidson because you like Harley Davidson. But I would really urge you to go ride something else because, as you can see, there's so many different kinds of cruisers and so many different kinds of motorcycles in general.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think back to when I was trailering up the R1 from when I bought it from the dealership, and also when I've trailered it up to the track. Everywhere I stop, because it's the quintessential sport bike, it's red, it's aggressive, it's loud, it's fast. I think in people's minds, that's a crotch rocket, and if they're into it, they're like, dang, that's a cool bike. And the Harley is the same thing. This is the quintessential cruiser. It does not get more quintessential than this. And if people like that, they're going to see it and be like, damn, dude, that's a badass bike, because they're into that style. And this embodies 100% of the style that it's in.
Yeah, no, it is 100% a thoroughbred cruiser.
Yeah.
You can diss on the 883's power all you want, but it is 100% a cruiser. It minces no words about what it's meant there, what it wants to do.
It's unapologetic, you know, completely unapologetic.
How did you feel just chucking it through those Lime Creek corners? I am interested.
I think for me, anything on two wheels and a twisty road is going to be fun, you know, so I sort of get into a bit of a rhythm with it. But it is just so different to ride, you know, like you have to, you can't put the weight on the balls of your feet, you can't lean off the bike, you can't even put a foot out like you would on a dirt bike or something. It's just so unique and different to ride, and really half of Lime Creek was me just kind of figuring out how this bike wants to be ridden and what it likes, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's most motorcycles will tell you how they want to be ridden, and I think the Harley shouts it at you louder than pretty much any other bike.
Yeah.
It really does just say, go straight, go slow,
Yeah.
just chill.
Like I said, it has one of the heaviest steering inputs I've ever felt on any motorcycle. Partly due to its geometry, partly due to its weight. There's a lot of reasons. The tires are definitely not the most aggressive things. But yeah, like as soon as you flick it over, it's like, okay, doesn't like doing that.
How have you... another thing I'm interested in, how do you feel about the transmission feel? Have you noticed how clunky it is?
Yeah, I've also noticed how the gears are further apart than I thought they would be. Like when you go from second to third, the revs really drop. But that makes sense because it only has 5 gears and it has to be a little bit wider. But it's something that is a little surprising to me.
Yeah, you don't really stay in the power band like you would on, you know, a sport bike.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no power band on a Sportster. Well, we're going to put new pipes on it anyways, but that is a whole lot of boot on there. See, boys, that's what happens when you jump on a Sportster and you ride it like an R1 or a Daytona. Or a Scrambler even. I ride my Scrambler on the balls of my feet.
Oh, man, dude. Now you understand why I have the habit of sitting like this.
I know, it bothers me so much when I see you riding like that. I'm like, dude, get your feet in the correct position. But if you started riding with something like this, I get it, you know?
Yep. Like that is just how it was just baked into my brain.
Yeah.
Through melted boot after melted boot.
Yeah. Well, this was really something. This is going to be a very interesting series. Yeah, I hope that people are into it. I hope that people like it. I hope that my disdain for it doesn't turn people off from it. I'm a very particular kind of rider, and I'm not the target audience for this bike. That's the thing that people have to keep in mind. Even though I have a pretty poor opinion of it so far, that's only because it's not really my kind of bike, you know? That doesn't mean that it's not right for you or that you won't like it. We have tons of boys even on our Discord server that are diehard Harley guys. And, you know, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
I honestly do think that with a lot of the mods we're going to do to it, it will become slightly more your thing. I don't think it will ever be your choice motorcycle. I don't think it will ever wow you to the way that, you know, our sport bikes do, or even like the SV650X, for example.
Oh my God, the SV650X is such a better bike than this.
But I think we'll get close. Close. Maybe it will get. My goal in the build is to get it to be the point where you actually would like to go take it out for a vlog.
Oof, that's a tall order, dude. That is a tall order.
I think I can do it.
I think with forwards and then that 1250 kit and then the suspension, I think that'll go a long way for sure.
Oh, I'm so excited to start wrenching on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun tearing into it. So guys, that was my first ride on a Harley Sportster. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you later. Remember, we're giving this bike away. Don't forget, giving it away. Check it on the link below. Merch page, yammie.co, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll catch you later.
So my sweet little squid, this video is actually over, but lucky for you, click on this one right here. You can keep watching your sweet Papa Yam, delivering you the motorcycle content you've come to know and love. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll be here waiting for you. You're gonna click on that video.